Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to Hangin' With. I'm GW Pomichter. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, go on down and hit subscribe for us. If this is your first time, thanks for hanging with us. We are here this weekend at ReCon 2016, hosted by the Historical Miniature Games Society, the South chapter. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary at ReCon 2016 here at the International Palms Resort on world famous International Drive in Orlando, Florida. Awesome venue, really terrific. We are here hanging with Peter Penzeri, the author of Killing bin Laden, Operation Neptune Spear. And most of you might know Peter from his last title, which is in his, how many prints now?
13.
13.
Lucky 13.
Print. We're going for 14 next time. Okay,
in 20 years, since 96.
In 20 years of Little Bighorn, Custers' Last Stand. Peter, thanks for hanging with us, man.
Hey, it's
really
great to be here,
appreciate
Garrett.
it.
I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
This is terrific. So, first of all, the gaming conference? How's it going for you so far out there? Are you playing games? What do you got going?
Yeah, kind of everything. It's one of those like candy store. I overbooked, overcommitted, and overplanned, and so now I'm overwhelmed.
Trying to fit everything in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And was that your son that came in with you earlier?
Yep, that's Peter Jr. He's Peter the Third.
Peter the Third. Okay.
And he's game mastering Star Wars right now.
Game mastering Star Wars. Wow. Big Star Wars fans?
He is. Yeah.
He is?
I turned him into one, I guess.
Oh, you turned him into one. Okay.
Regretfully, I guess. But now.
Episode 7, have you seen it?
Yeah, we saw that together,
yeah. Good stuff? Back on track, maybe?
Yeah, a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I always look at everything as what kind of war game can I make out of this? So,
okay, great.
I don't know. I haven't quite figured out how to blow up a whole planet yet or make a planet Death Star. But,
well, blow up a whole planet system now. Now the what is it? Starkiller Base was
next
blowing up.
comes the galaxy, I guess.
I guess. I don't know. It's pretty big stuff out there. So, well, we'll start with books and we'll work our way over to the games that you're doing. Okay. But let's start with Custer's Last Stand. Just a point of interest. What got you started on that trail?
Well, I think for a lot of people, a movie or something they saw inspired them. So when I was little, there was this Last Stand movie or that one, and a long time ago, and 1960 something. And I think the old 8mm film you could play. It was pre-video. So my brother and I would watch. We had this like 3-minute movie, black and white, of Errol Flynn, Custer's Last Stand. It was just him and some Indians and 3 minutes. I mean, Custer's Last Stand in 3 minutes. So, so then when we played with toy soldiers and we played with G.I. Joes and we played in the yard, we did Custer's Last Stand. So, I was in Europe in the Army and did a research paper for school that I was doing about it. Mm-hmm. And then about a month later, I met David Chandler, who's died now, but he's the chief of military history for Sandhurst, Royal Military Academy, and the Napoleonic author of everything. But he was in charge of this series of stuff. So I gave him this really bad paper that I'd written and said, hey, I'd be interested in doing this. This was at the Waterloo reenactment in '97. So I didn't think he would because he didn't know me from Adam. I was just some, reenactor that captured him. He was dressed as a French marshal. And I got back to the United States after Desert Storm, and he invited me to Sandhurst to speak about Desert Storm, and I got a contract for the book when I got back home. So
wow,
so I sold the book, and then I had to write it. I forgot about that part. I had to write.
Oh yeah, most people ask me. They'll ask me, how do I become an author? And I said, well, you write a book. But in the old days, you write a treatment or you get a start.
It's a new day too. I do that now.
Yeah, and then you find somebody who will pay you to finish the book. And
but don't do it the way I did. That didn't work.
It is hard, and all of us have been writing for a long time know how hard that route is.
Well, in this case, I didn't know anything really about the battle. I proved it in my paper, and so then I had to research the battle. Then I had to write about it, and then. By the way, it's the most controversial battle in American military history. Little Bighorn. Well, yeah, Custer was killed. Everybody died. There's nobody.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. That's true. I guess.
Indians, and so my first book, hadn't researched it yet. It's for a publisher I didn't know, for a guy I greatly respected and didn't want to let down. Yeah, don't try that at home. I would recommend for an author, pick something that you already know about, you're good about, and however,
for
I won all these awards.
For our creators out there, though, we want that's the key to being a creator. Begin to create.
Yeah, well, it was challenging.
You sit around and wait and say, how do I do that? And sometimes it never gets done.
Yep.
So you have to dive right in, and it worked out for you. It was very successful for you. Now you have perhaps you went from one controversial battle to another controversial battle in Bin Laden, killing Bin Laden.
Yeah.
That's the latest that's out there. What drew you to that particular story? I mean, modern warfare is replete with stories that aren't being told right now. And what drew you to that particular story?
I'd done the Little Bighorn, and I did a lot of stuff on that, and then I actually went to graduate school at the Army and wrote about the Indian Wars. So then I got educated on it, and started to write other things. My graduate thesis, which I went on to self-publish, was the tactics of the Indian Wars, and I got awards for both and recognition for both for the anniversary of Little Bighorn. So I started to know a lot of people and a lot of people in the Army knew me as that.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I was on a computer in the Army, somebody, oh, you're writing another book? I'm like, no, I haven't written a book in 10 years, buddy, but, you know, what do you want? So it's just funny. Everybody assumed I was, like, writing like crazy. And then the Bin Laden thing went down, and I just got approached by somebody and said, hey, I know some stuff about it. But I couldn't, what they knew, I couldn't write because I didn't want them to get in trouble, and sometimes I don't want me to get in trouble. I don't know, call me crazy. So I had to go and research again. So what seemed like was going to be another easy thing was exactly the same. I had nothing about it. I had to go and research, and everything that everybody told me that I interviewed and got information on it, I had to go back and find it in open source.
Okay.
Because if it's confidential or classified, I couldn't use it. So I had everything in the book is open source information that verifies things that.
Dear friend of mine, now passed away. Was a Vietnam Marine Corps officer who was recruited at that time to go to work for that little company, the CIA, and did 25 years. And a few years back before he passed, he said, I've always wanted to write a book, but every time I sit down to write a book, I think, I can't say that, I can't say that, I can't say that. There's so many things I can't say that by the time I whittled the book down to what it should be, or could be, there's nothing left.
So all the people out there like that,
yes.
Come see me, I'll write your book for you.
And research it, and get the materials, what you can find anyway.
So what happens is you make a commitment to do that, you sign a contract or you make a verbal commitment, and the next thing you know, you have all these deadlines to do things, and so that's the only way I ever get anything done is to...
Wow. Well, we're here you're talking about gaming, and so you do some game design and creating, based on your historical knowledge now. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, you're a gamer. You enjoy playing.
Yeah.
And so what leapt from enjoy to play the game to let's create games? Where does that leap come
what
from?
I think is in everybody's gaming adventure, they come to a point where they can think, oh, that could be different, or that should be better, or I couldn't do any worse. And so that's what I ended up doing. I guess really a lot of times my first convention I went to, which was HistoriCon 85, I think it was the first or second.
Which we just learned is like the
mecca of historical gaming.
Historical gaming, yeah.
And it's pretty big. I used to be the president of HMGS that ran that. For 6 years, I produced that show.
Okay.
But back in 84, 85, when it was the first one of those, and before then they used to go to Gen Con and Origins, that group, the Historical Ministries Gaming people. But then they started their own show then. And some guy didn't show up for a game called Major Dundee, now Major Real Battle, about a Charlton Heston movie about American Civil War guys in Mexico fighting the French during the Civil War.
Okay.
So didn't show up, his favorite movie. Well, I thought, gee, I have in my car some Civil War, some Napoleonics. Jim Birdsey, who I just met, has Indians. So I ran 4 games of it at a convention that I went to play at.
Wow.
And I had some old Civil War rules called Rally Around the Flag, so I used those and ran it. We all had a blast. And ever since then, the only time I've really gone and played in other people's games at conventions is when, like, I had my son, and when he was really little, and I was just too much with him to run games. So I just kind of, convention-wise, I've changed from playing as much to running games, and I get my joy from that because what I'm doing is I'm learning about the game mechanics as we play. It's like a play test with strangers. And then I turn around and go back, and I'm like, well, that has to be different. That's messed up. Oh, that went great. What was it? I don't know. Well, I should have wrote it down.
Wow. That's just, so what draws you to that type of work or to that type of design? Or
well,
really, it's creativity, because now you have to have the historical background. You have to go back and do the research and know what to do with the rules.
Right.
But in addition to that, we were talking earlier about the fact that you're also designing somebody can change the outcome of a historical battle or conflict or
Right,
whatever.
with all games. Yeah, it's
with
not
all
a game
games,
unless somebody can win.
Unless
or
somebody
lose,
can
right.
win it, right? And so what draws you to that?
Well, I spent 30 years in the Army, in the infantry. I taught
by the way, from another infantryman.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes.
So I taught at the infantry school for about 4 years. I taught the intelligence school as a tactics chief there. I taught for West Point at the prep school for West Point. So I have a lot of those 30 years, about 12 that I was platform time teaching and all. And a lot of them were small group things. So I used war games to teach people.
For those of you that don't know, a large part of infantry training is essentially board game play. It's setting up a strategic situation and responding and trying to build that muscle memory in your mind for how battle tactics work. So you've actually been gaming for a lot longer than gaming. You did it for a job.
Yeah, I started gaming as a teenager. I went to a military school. My parents were older, so they sent me away. Frederick Military Academy in Virginia.
I went to Florida Air Academy over here in
really?
Melbourne, Florida, and then I went in the infantry,
Wow. So I started a war game club there, and then I did the same thing for West Point, and then everywhere I went, did that. But what I learned was a lot of the Army war games were semi-computerized. They tried to make them boring because they thought that was professional. And what I tried to infuse into that was, if they're not having fun, they're not learning.
Yeah.
So I tried to make sure that if they're having fun decisions and all, they'll learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
So,
well, we remember. My kids tell me now. My older kids are adult children, and they like to do some of the LARPing and the live action stuff. And I try to tell them, where we come from back in the infantry, we created that stuff. I was gonna say, we created LARPing with remember the old Miles gear. And now my son is a Marine, and they're using what are called sim rounds.
Right.
It's paintball,
like
only with a 5.56 round.
And all that.
And I'm like,
the laser miles,
exactly. And so, which I would rather have Miles gear, by the way. I saw the welts on this kid when he came home from a training exercise. So, but yeah, it's an amazing thing. So we want to let people know again, we are here at ReCon 2016 with Peter Penzeri. What games do you have any games that are out there on the floor today?
Actually, last night was Major Dundee. The exact scenario of the Charles Manson movie. Tonight is Patton, General Patton, in 1916, 200 years ago from this time. It's the anniversary of it. Patton versus Pancho Villa. Patton went into Mexico on a punitive raid under Pershing and was the first mechanized infantry attack in world history.
Wow.
With him trying to catch in Chihuahua. Well, they didn't catch Pancho Villa, but one of his henchmen down there, and so I'm going to war game that tonight. It's both fun, a lot of role playing, because you got Banditos, you got the Villardas and all those guys, and you got Patton and all that, so kind of fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, just real quick, just some pop culture things going on out there. We were talking earlier, gamers and writers and creators. We are pop culture geeks. That's what we are. That's why we're here. We're actually creating it. Guilty. Oh, you know it. Okay. You got your son interested in Star Wars. You got to plead guilty at that. At that point. So there are a lot of things happening in the world right now. We got Star Wars Episode 7 we talked about earlier, rolling out the whole new universe for that. We got comic books coming to the screen big like never before. We all got to watch it when we were young. We got to watch it on TV in really bad versions of it. But now we have Captain America: Civil War coming. Team Cap, Team Iron Man. Do you have a preference? Team Cap, Team Iron Man.
Well, I enjoy watching all that stuff, but I don't really game in it. And I'm going to give you one scenario or vignette as to why. I listened to two people argue yesterday about what this guy could do and that guy could do in the movie or whatever. And the only time I heard a conversation that in depth was guys talking about, can the Shillelagh missile stand this or that? And the Shillelagh missile exists. And the historical battles they were in exist. But Captain America never did. Therefore, how can you? So for me,
how can you speculate
I like
about
to go with
speculation?
The here and now with things that really exist.
It is. It's hard to do.
And it makes it a little easier. And once in a while, and plus when I'm running a game, I can say, well, have you fired that M60 machine gun? And once in a while, somebody goes, yes, I was an M60 machine gunner in Vietnam. What were you? And I'm like, all right, well, okay, so what does an M60 machine gun do? Because you can tell me, and I'll write notes.
Yeah.
But we can't do that with the Iron Man fist. And
Yeah, I have no
shield.
idea how that stuff works,
So
and I guess I'm not supposed to.
So, but now on the plus side, from a gamesmanship thing is, if the rules say the shield does this, nobody can counter that because the shield doesn't exist. It's what he says.
That's right. It's exactly what the rules say that it is. That's fantastic. We're about out of time here. That's going to wrap us up, folks. Again, a special shout out to our friends and partners over at Something Unique Magazine, Books, Chocolate, and Wine, Authors for Authors, the Florida Book News, Wordfire Press, our new friends here at the Historical Miniature Gaming Society, celebrating their 20th anniversary here. And I'm G.W. Pomichter. We have been hanging with Peter Penzeri, author of Killing Bin Laden, and Little Bighorn, Custers' Last Stand. Thanks for hanging with us, folks. Remember to subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.